process by which Lynx developed their email marketing campaign. And the session you're going to be listening to today from Matt is the result of me being fortunate, Lynx being fortunate enough to hire this young man. He comes from a different generation to me, and very early on when he was hired and we were doing the email marketing, he said, you know, Giles, we really need to develop our social media strategy for the company. And this is one of those classic examples of things coming, being pushed upwards. And I listened to him, and he made some very persuasive and convincing arguments. And I'm really happy with the way that it has worked out, and Matt will be telling you some details about that. How many of you here have a Facebook account? Okay. None of you are friends with me on Facebook, right? Uh-oh. But one of the things that is very important to consider about the language we use when we're talking about Facebook is you have a friend on Facebook. And it's called social media, social marketing. And it's this concept of friends that has been very, very successful for us as a company of viewing customers not only as customers, but as friends. And I know that you probably have customers that you may think are very annoying friends. But, those people are also very useful to you, and they do help with the spreading of the word. When Matt came, we had nothing, and he's going to go through the full evolution of that program, and it has grown and got more diverse. We send about 180,000 emails a year. Now, that sounds like a lot, but no one will receive more than 4 emails a year from us. I think one year we sent 5, sometimes we send 5. But these are not necessarily straight sales emails. We try and send at least 2 emails a year, which are providing the customer with nothing other, or the potential customer, with nothing other than information about their world. It would be an announcement about qualifying times for a national championship, or about a timetable for a major sporting event. And what we found is that by sending those, we call them infomercials, by sending those infomercials out, we actually make people a little bit reluctant to block us. And I'll go into the details of blocking later. But if you're sending someone useful information, they kind of go, oh, well, I like getting emails from these people because it's useful to me. And that enables the other 2 or 3 messages that we send, which are a sales pitch, to actually be accepted and opened. And clearly there are some people out there that are sending ads for Viagra that are not doing much testing. It's just gather as many names as you can and blast it out. And I wonder if anyone in the history of the world has ever clicked on one of those things and done anything with it other than delete. I mean, it's just mind-boggling to me. So, Federico made me lose my train of thought. Actually, with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Matt, because he's much better at this stuff than I am. And the smartest thing that smart people do is hiring people that are smarter than them in some areas. And I'd like to think that one of my smart decisions was having this young man here. So, Matt Brown. Nice job.
All right, appreciate it. First of all, thanks for having me up here. I know that a lot of you I've only seen through Facebook and sharing photos with us and following us on Twitter, and it's really nice to finally have a chance to see you guys face to face, and thank you support you've given us to help grow the online community. So this is sort of about building your brand online. So there's a lot of social media, so like the Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn type things, but also a little bit about analytics, Google Analytics and tracking, and some search engine optimization, or SEO. And essentially, what that becomes is, how do people find you online? What are you putting online, and how easy is it for people to find you online? And the stuff that you share through social networks and through your website, and through blog posts, it all matters because new people find you, old customers find you, competitors find you, but they're way, way below you on Google and no one finds them. So that's the sort of stuff that I want to get into. So what we can do is just sort of talk a little bit about usage statistics, and I know it's different by country, but it still, I think, matters. Some of these numbers are pretty staggering. And then we'll also tell you about what Lynx has done, because I think the easiest way for you to get ideas for your own service provision, sites and social media accounts is to maybe take some ideas from what we've done and what's worked. And if you look at the Google result there on the right, you'll see that FinishLynx, so when you search for photo finish timing, FinishLynx is the first result, and Timetronics is the second result. Oh yeah, I have no pointer, but you see it down there in the bottom right, and we like it that way, and we'll go over later that the first result is actually pretty important compared to the second result, so let's continue. First of all, there's Facebook. There's 800 million users, 52% of people follow brands, and that means that they are choosing to get updates from companies, and maybe it's artists and musicians or whomever. And 77% of Facebook users actually interact with them, meaning they are liking or sharing or passing along these updates from brands. And there's also one of my favorite statistics is that Facebook is it's the number one photo sharing site on the internet. And if you look at the graph on the right there, you'll see Facebook's market share of sharing photos online compared to Instagram. I don't know if any of you are iPhone users. And then way down at the bottom is the Library of Congress, and that's how many photos they share. So you see that Facebook is pretty huge. And it's also the number one social network in 127 countries. So it's not just the United States, it's possibly your country, and again, if it's not Facebook, then maybe it's something else that you can sort of apply these concepts to. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Twitter. Do you have accounts at all? If you want to raise your hand if you do, so you follow people. Do you follow Lynx on Twitter? Or? Okay, yeah. Well, after this, maybe you will. So there's 100 million active accounts, 84% of people follow brands, and there's also a lot of mobile users, and we'll talk about why that's important in a bit, because as event service providers, you like people who are following events, tweeting about them live, and looking for updates live. So that could be a very huge part of the way that you explore social media for your company. Then YouTube, it's obviously the world's largest video site, and what I think is awesome is it's the number 2 search engine on the internet. There's 106 billion monthly searches, which is pretty amazing. So if you guys don't have some sort of videos on Facebook, you're looking for other people's videos, and it could be about time for you to get something up there because people are looking. And then I don't know who's familiar with LinkedIn. It's professional networking. Raise your hand, yeah. Okay, so yeah, there's some LinkedIn users, yep. I'm glad to see some of the Lynx people too are raising their hands because I've tried to get everyone to join, and even Doug's got a nice little photo on his LinkedIn profile.
I do?
And
Maybe
then,
you could teach me how to log in.
Yeah, exactly. We'll help Doug log in later. So the question is, does your business need social media? And I think that the business that we're in, this industry, is really perfect for it because some of you, regardless of the sport, are doing these live events where there are people, hundreds, thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people who are looking for updates, whether it's photo finish images or where it's just times and results and whatever. There are always a little sliver of the community online that are looking for these things in real time. They want to know how their person from their town did in the race, or they want to see an image of it ideally. And it's something that maybe you're used to doing, but that's the way that technology moves now, and it's something that you should maybe look into. And actually, this is kind of a funny one. The Flash guys are here paying attention, but they post results via Twitter automatically, and we actually got a mention from USA Track and Field, which has 22,000 followers, saying that the results were courtesy of FinishLynx. But of course, we were just sitting in our office, not at the event. It was Flash that was doing all the work. But we're going to talk about how when you sort of align yourself with the influencers, they sort of try to work with you to generate the buzz around events. And I think the important part to notice is that the conversation is going to happen with or without you. If you're not paying attention to social media, people are still going to talk about you and talk about your event, but you'll just get none of the benefit from it. So if you see the image on the right there is a person who just tweeted out FinishLynx monster image, he called it. But at this point, we didn't use a Twitter account, but I found it by a keyword search, and I thought it was pretty awesome. So that was sort of one of the reasons why we wanted to join and think, wow, there's value, there's people out there who are using this. And then on the left there, you'll see just some Facebook posts where people say, hey guys, I'm one of your biggest users, I do 50 indoor meets, and other people with a lot of exclamation points talking about how excited they are that we joined. I mean, people are out there, and maybe it's not, you guys aren't manufacturing products, maybe all of you, but there are people who have had you in to do their meets, and they love you guys because you've been doing them for years, and they want to tell people about it. So it's really just your job to give them a forum to share their love for you with the world. And then a little bit about Lynx, just quick facts. Our YouTube page was launched in 2008, and I think Doug snagged up some of the FinishLynx names on sites years and years ago, which was a smart move. But now we've had over 31,000 views on our videos. We have 49 fans. Some of you are here. I appreciate that. Facebook, we have launched in 2010. There's now 623 as of last night.
624 now.
Oh, 624. We're gaining fans by the second. And then there's also, I think, one of the most important things is there's 200 plus user photos, which is sort of, I think, what is part of driving the community on Facebook. And people like Paul and the Mathwork guys, and then Nikolai has done a phenomenal job, and so many of you. And seriously, we wouldn't have a thriving Facebook page if it wasn't for service providers who are proud of the gorgeous images they took, and we appreciate that. Okay, so the origins of it is basically as Giles mentioned, we identified a need for it. Some of you have seen our website. It's sort of a sore subject for us, and we thought that there could be another way to add some value online. And so if you see the image there, I sort of thought, okay, we could add some forums there, we could add a little link to the YouTube, and then add a little Facebook button, and what we have actually today isn't too far off. So we knew that there were some opportunities to engage some of the customers, whether it's just people who are high school coaches or, more importantly, the service providers. We wanted to build a community, and we wanted to sort of expand the influence here and abroad too, because while we have good market share in the U.S., we're still working on some of the other countries, and that's what you guys are for, to help us spread that purple. But as, I don't know, some of you guys have wrestled with, there's obviously potential risks with social media. There's some idiots out there. There are people that will try to attack you. There's spam. But I think most importantly, it's just the time and the ongoing process that's there. There's always going to be maybe risk of a negative comment or whatever, but the hardest part is starting it and keeping it going over and over and over again, and making sure that you milk the value out of it. Then there's creating the strategy, which was essentially a three-phase thing where we're starting from scratch, and we had the email program, but we needed a good way to wrangle everyone up and start spreading the purple around. And we couldn't just do that by sort of announcing to a bullhorn to join our page. So, of course, we reached out to you guys. So the first phase was mobilizing the customers, and we sort of tried to do the integration there. Phase 2 is then empowering the influencers. And, at this point, we're trying to, ask you guys questions, get photo contests going, which I think some of you guys did. And I don't know if you saw the calendar out front there, the FinishLynx calendar. That's actually a result of the photo contest and some of the amazing and ridiculous images that we've gotten because of that. And then the third phase, which is sort of an ongoing process and we're still sort of working on to this day, is leveraging the content. So we're building this library. We're trying to become like an information leader in photo finish, which I think we are, but it's about becoming an information leader online so that everyone else knows it too. So, like I said, an ongoing process. And then finally, the target audience is you guys. It's people who are crazy about photo finish. It's people who have dreams in photo finish images and think about just what settings they can tweak, and people who want to listen to Doug talk about the best way to take their pictures and then dream about those methods later. And service providers are really, I think, part of that. And then, so first of all, there's the Facebook page. It was, designed because it's accessible. It's pretty popular abroad, and we knew there'd be a good way to sort of get a little interaction between customers and with us on a way that people already interacted. But of course, there's work blocks, Facebook and YouTube at some points, and there's also schools and teachers who, with their full-time jobs, people don't have the luxury of working with Lynx all the time, all day. So we need to find a way that they could still interact without causing any conflict. And then here's some notable moments from the Facebook page. I really like, I mentioned the calendar there. That's, I think, a matchable image, right? Yep, okay. And then there's the fellow throwing up there on the Lynx image, which is also one of my favorites. That's, one of the funnier ones that we received, but still a lot of value, I think. Then there's the grass track in New Zealand, which is a fellow sent that to us, and you can see there's the Lynx camera there on the right of it. And I think that, for me, just sort of hit home that, wow, like we're reaching these people. This fellow in New Zealand who's using Lynx loves it and is doing it on a grass track with mountains in the back, and that sort of boggled my mind to see. And then there's the sort of group tech support aspect of it, which I really, really love, because this fellow Dave posted a message saying, hey, I'm looking for some tips and tricks. And then you get 12 comments on it saying, here are the things that I need to do. Here are the things that I love. Here's the things that you should avoid. And it's exciting to see, because someone like me, I hoped that that kind of thing was possible, but I wasn't sure, because at the end of the day, it depends on the knowledge leaders and the service providers who do that stuff day in and day out. And for a new user to come in and post and ask questions, and to have him be supported by you guys is absolutely amazing. And I think it really speaks to the Lynx brand and the way that it is being proliferated across the world. That's awesome. And then finally, there's that image with if you notice, the track is yellow and white. And I don't know if that looks funny to you guys at all, because obviously the finish line is supposed to be straight white, but he said that that's the way that he did it to mark lane zone. And there was a big discussion on that, which I loved. People just sort of talking shop. And again, I'm just here to manage the page and make sure there's nothing crazy going on, and it really shows a lot of potential of the way that what happens when you get a lot of people together. And then there's sort of the way that we grew it is just creating incentives. Like I said, the image contest, thank you gifts. I know that, a lot of my job, I'd say about 75% of my job is going to be just sending out free t-shirts to you guys and then sending out emails. So I don't know if you guys have gotten any free t-shirts in the past, but again, thank you. And that's how we like to appreciate you for spending the time and sharing with us. And then secondly, it's about developing trust. At some point, you sort of have to give up control and realize that the people on your page are really in control, and you can do your best to influence it and try to steer the conversation, but it's really about letting them sort of steer which way it's going to go and letting that happen. Because if someone is frustrated with RadioLynx, or if someone doesn't like a new feature, and other people want to chime in about it, then that's fine. Now you know that there's some sort of group consensus going on. And some of the things we did was sort of encouraging people by giving them news right away, giving them like first access. And then also encouraging feedback. We like to like comments and photos, so to sort of convince people to keep doing it again. And then we even give them access to Google Docs and release notes and stuff first, so that they're able to sort of feel rewarded for being part of the community. Then there's a little bit of stuff about optimization, which we don't need to cover too heavily now, but I think one of the interesting things is that image here. You can see some of the top posts, and there's something called reach, which is essentially how many people did your post on Facebook reach when you put it up there. And something that doesn't have a link in it or doesn't have an image in it isn't going to reach as many people, and that means basically that you can do your job better. You can connect with your fans better. You can find a more direct way to reach them. So it's about sort of tweaking your content to figure out what do your fans want and why, and running with that. And there's also issues with timing and trying to get comments and likes, but at the end of the day, I think the comments and likes, they come as a result of finding what your fans want and will react to. Then there's, a lot of, Facebook does a decent job with analytics, but it can be a little bit difficult, and I don't know what the word would be, but difficult, I guess, would be it, but there are ways to get little pieces of information that you can do something actionable about. Whether it's you see a certain country that there's a certain number of fans that are growing in, or you see that a certain time of the day is really a good time to post. That's how you can learn something real easy from that and work with it. There's the YouTube channel, and I guess the biggest part I want to hit home is that, like I said, it's the second biggest search engine in the world. When you Google sports player tracking...
Slow down. It's good. Slow down.
I just get excited about social media, that's all. So, when you Google sports player tracking, which is obviously a pretty big concern for us with FinishLynx, you see the second result is actually an FinishLynx video that we created. And that's not an accident. We may not always have the top-ranking site because we haven't been in the game for that long, but the fact is social media can help you get found on Google and give you a chance to compete with the big guys when normally you wouldn't be able to. Of course, the product will always be able to compete with the big guys because we're Lynx, but I'm talking about the social content here. And then optimizing your YouTube page, there's, first of all, event videos I think could be really has a lot of potential for service providers. This graph here, the graph here shows our YouTube channel before we added Boston Indoor Game videos, and then it shows uploading the Boston Indoor Game videos day after the event. And we gained 3,000 plus views and knocked our video count, our view count up infinitely. And so, like I said, people are going to search for your videos and your events. It's whether or not you're putting the content up there. Because if it's not you, then it's some guy in the crowd 4 rows back with a shaky camera getting the fish. But we think that, if you control the information and the images, then people will be looking for you. And then some of the stuff we want to do is try to add maybe more tech support related stuff. We'd love to have Jeff and Rich do almost like a quick start guide or hands-on demos, or even have someone do like a Result TV new features type thing. And we're working on it. And then Twitter, like I mentioned before, is great for live events. There's going to be people who are tweeting about it with hashtags saying, okay, New Balance Indoor Nationals, here's what's happening, and just finished, new world record, etc., etc. And if you're not engaging with those tweets, you're essentially just throwing away free publicity. And even better is if you contribute images and results and other information to these live events, then people eat that up and they tweet it and they pass it along, and you're all of a sudden gaining this influence that you didn't have before because you weren't connecting with people in the spaces that they shared. And then optimizing it, it could be a little discouraging when you join Twitter and you have 1 follower or 0 followers, but I promise that it's really just a slow and steady wins the race. You find the people who matter in your industry, in your vertical, in your sport. You interact with them. You find more people who are talking about it, and you interact with them as well. And I mentioned the flash results Twitter account before, where they basically interact with nobody, but they still have almost 2,000 followers because people want that information. This is a tool called Hootsuite that we use, and that's just essentially a platform so we can see who's mentioning the word FinishLynx or ISOLynx, who's mentioning our name on Twitter, who's sending us personal messages, and then the feed of the people that we follow. And that's sort of an easy way at work that we can monitor and see if there's anything big that comes up. There's also analytics and see what their most popular links are. So again, just like Facebook, where if you find some content that works, you know that you're engaging your fans, keep rolling with that, because you always, at the end of the day, you want to give people what they want. But it's important to note that Twitter is more about interaction than Facebook is. On Facebook, you can sort of thank people for posting or post your own things, but Twitter is about the ad replies and answering questions and that kind of thing, and that's how you're going to get the most value and start to get those followers up. And then one thing I want to mention is LinkedIn. I know some of you said that you're on it. I think it's important to realize that when, as a service provider, if people are looking into your company, they're going to Google you. So here I Googled Matt Bradley Lynx. Let's say I was a service provider. The first result is my LinkedIn page, and I like that because I can control the way that people find me online, and I can control the information that I share with them. So if you're a service provider, you want to let them know on your LinkedIn page who you've worked with, what events you've done, what your specialties are, what your skills are. You're adding credibility. You don't want your MySpace page to show up as a top result, because that's not helpful to anyone who want to use you as a potential service provider in the future. And even if it's not one of the networks that I mentioned before, it's important to note that social media usage is up over 50% globally and growing. So if there's something else in your country that's huge, maybe look into joining that. At the bottom there, I mentioned Flickr, Instagram, Pinterest. I think image sharing sites are huge because we found consistently across mediums that images are what people want to see. And because our technology produces gorgeous images, we're perfect for that. And then essentially, like I mentioned, the goals of social media is sort of making sure that you gradually improve, finding what works, and also just sort of finding a way to influence socially, whether it's with customers or with other influencers in the business. And then there's engagement, which is sort of interaction with the customers or potential customers. There's reach, which is how far or how many people are you reaching with your post. There's amplification, which means that people are then spreading your content around and reaching people that you wouldn't have a chance before. And then there's sentiment. I mean, are they saying Lynx is awesome, or are they saying something else? We generally like Lynx is awesome. And we've been fortunate to have nothing but positive replies on Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. And I think you guys, I know it's sort of a scary thought opening yourself up to the commenting masses online, but I think you'll find that people who are impressed by your company are more likely to comment, and you want to find those people and treat them well. And then there's also Google Analytics, which I don't know, how many of you guys manage your company's website? So show of hands. Okay, so not as many there, but Google Analytics is an important tool because the same way where you're finding out how are people finding you online, what are they doing on your website, what are they looking for. And this is just sort of an overview of the dashboard, sort of the general information that you can find. But here's what I thought was an important one. Traffic boxes around social media referrals. So the top there, you see traffic to the website from Facebook. Number 7, you see traffic from YouTube. Number 13, LinkedIn. Number 15, Twitter. It's not just about interacting. These are people that want your information, and social media is a way for them to find you and get the information that you want to share and that they want to receive. And another important thing from Google Analytics was keyword searches. I mentioned that Google is hugely important in how you rank and how people find you, and I thought it was pretty amazing that literally the number 4 search result in how people found us online, number 4 and 5 are actually in Spanish. So you have people in Latin America or Spain or elsewhere searching for eventos de campo or eventos de pista, which is track events and field events. And to think that we're getting these results from other countries in other languages is pretty amazing. But I think that we would prefer that the events, or that the Google searches for eventos de campo go to one of our Spanish language service providers, because you're local for them. And if you have the content up there and you optimize your stuff, people will find you instead. And then obviously it's not just Spanish, but there's French and Italian, and it's really been a number of international visitors is growing, and it just sort of points to the fact that you guys internationally, that's where the people are, that's where the market is. It's waiting to be tapped, and the more content you put online and give people what they want, they'll find you and continue to find you. And then another one is event tracking. So this website that you see on the right there is what we use for email marketing, like Giles mentioned. So it's going to domestic or potential domestic customers, and then we can see what they click on and what PDFs they want. So when we have a blast that goes out, an email blast, we can see how many visitors there are, and then what they're clicking on. So the Scholastic package, which I don't know if some of you are familiar with or not, was hugely popular in this mailing. And the silver was the second most popular. And then, which was pretty awesome, the third is that they sent the form in to request more information. So, if you track the way people are navigating on your website, you can sort of optimize it to get them to click on or send in what you click on. Finally, there's search engine optimization, which we don't talk a lot about, but because of the state of our website, I can't preach too much about. But here's some quick stats that the first result gets 36% of the clicks. So if if people Google service provider rowing and you're the first result on Google, you're going to get 36% of the clicks. And that's pretty huge. And then as you can see from the graph there, the results just drop off. And then there's 10 results on the first page. If you're not on the first page when people Google you, you're in trouble. I mean, there it is. So we could talk about ways to optimize your content, but that's something that if you don't worry about your website, then it would just bore you to all heck if I sat and talked about alt tags and headers and whatnot. And then I'm going to show that FinishLynx Timetronics result again. We like to rank number 1. And a lot of that is link backs and the age of the website and the content and the niche market that we have. But the point is that we're going to try as hard as we can to keep Timetronics from ranking that number 1 because they're clearly not the number 1 photo finish product, so it would be ridiculous to think that they could be the number 1 search result. And then, so finally, I think this is all about thriving in the online community. So I created a little graphic here. It's pretty sophisticated, as you can tell. So that purplish blue house is you and your business. And then all those other houses are your vertical market. You see there's various sizes and various visibilities, and it's pretty crowded. Then you have the sidewalk out front with the potential customers and existing customers. and they're walking by past your vertical market at all times. They're talking to each other, and people in the vertical market are trying to get their attention. There's people with megaphones and a lot of money trying to convince people to come in and visit their business. There's people who use gimmicks like dressing up in chicken suits and maybe setting off firecrackers and trying to come up with creative ways to get you to visit them. And then there's also the honest way where you can just invite someone and say, hey, we have the best product, come check it out, and we think that works the best. But the thing is, if you're not visible in the rest of your vertical market online, then no one's going to come in and visit you. So it's not only about creating quality content and finding a way to share it with people, it's making sure that people can find you online, find you easily, and giving them a reason to want to come back. And then so I'm hoping that you guys will want to help us build the online community and paint the digital world purple. So I encourage you, if you haven't already, to find us on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, and join the Lynx Results Technology group on LinkedIn, which is pretty new, but the hope is that now that Facebook's sort of changing and getting the timeline feature, that the discussion groups on the group on LinkedIn could be a better way to get more of a discussion-based type environment, which we might be losing on Facebook. So thanks for the time, and I'd love to chat and hear a little bit more, or take questions and whatnot, because...
What I'm going to do is just fill in, add a couple of things to you, and then I'm going to open you up for questions back to the community. So I'm just going to add something back on this.
Because they see the old one. No, it's like,
There were some things I didn't want you to see on my Facebook page, that was all. Matt, can you just move that one second? Okay, this is the Lynx Facebook page. I just downloaded it just now. And you'll notice that we're fairly up to date. We have Learning from the Master, founder and president Doug DeAngelis giving his presentation. It's already up there. It's been shared by Hootsuite. We've already had 3 likes, one from Bruno Cordier. Hey, Philippe, Bruno's on the internet. He should be working. Yeah. And questions. Are the videos from the conference going to be made available? For those that couldn't come to the show, will that presentation be made available online? If you don't believe this is working, yeah, the evidence is in front of you. I also, just for comparisons and grins, I thought I'd show you the Swiss Timing Facebook page. It says 11 people like this. That's about that. I go to Timetronics, and actually what's really nice is if you look here, it says 0 people were here and 0 likes. So then you click on it anyway and you go, okay, I'll be the first, and you get there. And they were busy on March 8th, but that was it. This is a thriving online living community. This is not fire and forget. This is stuff that's working for you all the time. And that is both a risk and a reward. Algae timing. Yeah, Algae Timing Deutschland doesn't have any upcoming events. Go to past events. Actually, my internet's going to crap out anyway, but it's... I think I lost it and so on. But this...
Algae bug.
What?
Algae bug.
It's a bug, yeah.
Can you try make micro again? It doesn't work, they don't actually.
It's the connection's fault.
But then I'm just going to scroll down, and I want you to notice that the thing about Facebook is it's it's like being a parent. You have to let go. You have to monitor what your kids are doing, but you have to let them be themselves. And yes, we do post, and when we have interesting stuff, here from yesterday's Paul in his hat, we got 6 people liking the picture of Paul in his hat. We've got the thing out front. And then, just again, from March 18th, simple questions from users that would have tied up one of our tech support guys if he got on the phone. And it's possible that when he was answering a really simple question about a CSV file, that he missed answering a question from someone who had a camera going down at their state championship meet and really, I'm sorry, I'm dealing with another question. And here you have answers coming from the community. You generate pseudo answers. And believe me, if people say the wrong thing or give the wrong answer, somebody will come back in and correct them. And again, so I see a few people are using IP code with FinishLynx. And it goes on, and there's questions and answers, and Bruno, and contact me if you want a demo version. Yeah, so it's all good. Do you want me to go to yours, Philippe? Metsport? Oh, yeah. Before I do this, which of your companies out there have Facebook brand pages? That's really encouraging. And I'm serious. And are all of you connected to us or friends with us? That's good. That's what we want to hear. Maybe when I toss this back over to Matt, because he knows what he's talking about, I just like looking at the pictures and reading stuff, and Matt has the answers. I'm going to let you address questions to him, and if you've got concerns or exciting stories to share, they will be relevant to everyone. So I'm just going to unplug my computer and head back to Matt before I waste precious time.
Are there any other questions or things that you've noticed or discovered?
One other thing I wanted to mention too about the Google searches, I was talking to Trish the other day from IPECO, and she said that there's been an influx of customers that were from the Muddy Buddy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Muddy Buddy, but essentially this sort of hardcore relay type event through mud and fire and ice and all that kind of stuff. And she said that there's been an increasing amount of workers, but she wasn't sure how exactly they found the page. But I think that's a perfect example where they could then create the content after the Muddy Buddy and find ways to then target future and other Muddy Buddies regionally to bring in more sales. So when you know what people are looking for and how they're finding you, you can help capitalize that, and it'll help your bottom line, in addition to just keeping people happy. So I don't know if you guys have any funny stories or would know about ways that people find your site. I don't know.
Are you keeping track on how people are writing on your website using landing pages and things in order to verify if some of the actions that you're doing, on social networks or a special campaign or something like that is really effective? Because one of the biggest problems in my opinion is you do stuff, you do activities in the social network, and it's sometimes not easy to verify, to have a way of measuring the feedback. So, okay, you have more people speaking, that is good. But do these people are customer or potential customer, or do we have the means to verify they're coming back asking us product questions in an effective way or not? So how you can manage, or are you managing these?
That's a great question. So the question is, how are we working to quantify the information that's coming in and sort of make sure what sort of ROI or value are we getting from our social media usage, and how are people finding us? And the question is, we are working on it and trying our best. I think one of the biggest problems, or it's not a problem, but one of the toughest things in social media is walking back up to your chief marketing officer or CMO and saying, here's the ROI or return on investment of the things that I'm doing on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. So really what you can do is, remember I showed you the results page from Google Analytics of what sort of traffic it was driving to the website. And you saw that in the top 20 were all of our social media sites. So how do you put a value on that? I'm not sure. But I think that the idea that you're engaging these customers and they're welcome to come back, and you're having this sort of like conversation that between customers that didn't happen before, it's hard to put a value on it, but I think that it's very visible and tangible. And
are you using some, Google keywords or Facebook campaigns in order to promote specific actions or not?
we're not. And the thing is, when you're spending money on something like Google AdSense or Facebook ads, it's easier to come up with an ROI because you have this clear amount of investment that you're putting in financially. So you say that, okay, so every Facebook fan that I gained is worth $7 or whatnot. But we're less concerned with the numbers and more about the quality of the interaction that's going on the page. So, yeah, I mean, it is harder to go back and say each person's worth this, or each added follower is worth this. But
I'm asking because we are using these means, okay? So we decided to invest a certain amount of money every month on these aspects, and we find out that, of course, it's not very useful to have a wide range campaign, but if you're focused on something specific, you can verify huge feedbacks in terms of requests that are arriving on the website.
I can suggest later more easy and more less expensive way, because one of my classmates looking for a Google, and you know how it's working. So.
No, it's a science. I mean, it's not, you can't start in the morning and say, okay, let's do it.
absolutely, and yeah, when you get into the idea of social and Google ads, I think that from the research has shown at least that the long tail keywords, which is something that, instead of trying to optimize your ads for photo, you would say cycling events in France or whatever, and you'll find that you get rid of the garbage visitors that would accidentally click on it, and you're really targeted towards the people who are looking for the service that you're providing. But that's a whole nother...
I just searched OptoJump, I want you to know. And every single item on the first page of Google, including the advertisement, is you. It's a very strong trademark.
Yeah, it's a country dependent.
What do you think about part of this kind of media marketing, media communication? Social networks, creating a